I have one from a Mexican game designer called Nahuatl that is basically you are playing shapeshifters of the original Aztec beliefs, and you go out and hunt angels and gather body parts. Since they destroyed your people and civilization, you are now back for revenge. And I'm like, all right, this sounds fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
wow. I hadn't
yeah.
even heard of it, so it's good hearing about something new and then hearing about something with that angle on it.
Yeah,
That sounds interesting.
it did. Another Kickstarter thing that came up, and it was during the pandemic, so there were delays and things. I'm like, I don't care, dude. Just do whatever you need to do, and it's amazing. The artwork is phenomenal, and just need to get down into it, and then find some people that want to actually try it out.
That sounds really interesting. And don't feel bad or think that you're spending too much money on Kickstarter. Think of yourself as a very motivated patron of the arts, because there's mass-produced crap all out there, but you are helping cultivate those sparks of inspiration and true artistry. Think of
Yeah,
it like that.
and I'm hoping that someday the karma pays off, so that when I actually write like a big thing, like I can kickstart it, and we'll see if the karma pays off.
Hey,
That's my hope anyway.
it might, because one way to get people to support your work is by supporting them.
Right.
They know you are, and they know that you're a good buddy. And speaking of which, and you're setting up segues perfectly, by the way,
Oh.
you're a game designer. What got you into doing that, into publishing your own material?
Well, once the first open game license came out from Wizards, I thought about doing stuff like that, but I really hadn't played any actual D&D in 20 years. Well, although I do, again, I collect it, and I have it because I want to kind of get into it again. And I actually am playing a little bit every couple of weeks with some friends. But I thought about writing, and then I saw the amount of stuff on the Dungeon Masters Guild, and I thought, nah, that's too much competition.
How are you
Uh,
ever going to stand out?
Right, right. I mean, I would really need something phenomenal. And I'm like, I'm a decent writer, but I'm not going to try to get into that and be like, ha, nah. Just so I looked around, and then once White Wolf had started opening up theirs, I was like, okay, this is great. I can write for them. And they kind of do theirs in pieces. I think most recently, probably Geist, Mummy, and maybe Hunter has finally opened up. So they kind of do them in chunks. And so some of
Okay.
the first thing I wrote, actually, once they opened up regular Vampire, that included Dark Ages. I'm an English major with a minor in medieval studies. So
Whoa.
I thought, why don't I put that to good use? And
Yeah.
so my first product was written for Dark Ages. Very nervous. Took me about a year to finally work up the nerve to put it out there, because, the whole critique and possible rejection. But once
Yeah.
I got it out there and it was well received, I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I should have been doing this a decade ago. So since then, I have written quite a few other things. I'm hoping to get back into completing several projects that I had on hold the last 9 months, but that's coming together. So
That's great. What was your first piece that you published?
the first piece was Mysteries of the Blood for Dark Ages. It is all about blood sorceries for the non-traditional, aka non-Tremere clans. So there is stuff in there for Setites, Assamites, Lianan, Shamis, any of the clans that are older and old enough to have been involved with, developing blood magics and stuff. So I wanted to create more stuff for them.
I haven't checked that one out yet, but I do want to plug your the Lost Grimoire for those at home who might not have seen it yet. We're going to put a link in the description. And I'm a huge fan of, I say Zemisky, because it's spelled exactly like this noble house from the history of the Byzantine Empire, and it was Zemisky. That's how they pronounced it. Now, I know White Wolf messed with that, and they'd say it's Zimitsi, and then you say Zemishe.
Yeah.
Zemis. Yeah, so it's fun. It just sparks creativity, just figuring out how to say the name of the clan.
Right.
But one of the features of the clan Zemisky is that they were the first clan to have a type of sorcery besides the Tremere that you could play. And this Lost Grimoire, how long did this thing take you? Because there are a ridiculous amount of different paths of Koldunic sorcery. That's the sorcery that Zemisky used. That's based on spirit manipulation, spirits of the land, spirits of the air, this and that. I love the stuff. And this book is fantastic. Like, not one of these, and I haven't made it through all of them yet because it's a tall order. It's like a 60-something page book, but every one of them I've seen takes a different tack, a different flavor based on the culture and the terroir it comes from. Like the one that was centered around a specific mountain, I think in the Urals. The flavor is so different for each one. And then the effects are interesting and novel for each one, because young Steve Clements, I would look through the Tremere Paths of Sorcery, the Coldonic Paths, and I was basically just looking for damage dice. And so young me wouldn't have appreciated this. But me with a thinking cap, I'm like, oh, that mist that the Leonin, and so the Miski, if they get the right mentor, that they can summon, that knocks dice off of people that you don't like, and it persists for a long time. Now, it requires a blood sacrifice, to like a living sacrifice to get it, but it lasts for like a whole night and can screw up everybody's day that's in your way. That's well thought out.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how long does this thing take you?
Gosh, I have to really look back at the files and like see the updated, because honestly, I think I have a pretty good grasp. Once I get an idea, I'll research, for example, that particular mountain. That's also the mountain those Russian campers were found back in the 70s or whenever. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, where they all went up and then they found them. They don't know what happened to them, but some of them were out half dressed, dead in the snow. Some of them were in the tent. Okay, so it's that same mountain. I looked up like all of the, not only folklore, but stuff like that for that particular mountain.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I was just like, since White Wolf redid the way Coldonic Sorcery worked, because it used to be, the first edition was simply air, earth, fire, water, and then the spirit. Yeah. Okay, it was very basic, and it was largely a couple of utility powers and damage. And so then when they redid it, probably like right before the 20th anniversary book releases, it basically was territorial. It was a region, a geographical region. So different parts of that region. If there were forests and mountains and a river, then you would have powers that could work in relation to those things. If it was all mountain or it was all ocean, or then there's other stuff, because I think there are examples where the Black Sea, Krana, and all the powers deal with being near a large body of water. Of course, it's easier to do next to the Black Sea, but you can do it next to any large body of water. So once they did that, that's what sparked my imagination to try and go, okay, there's a lot of regions that not only does that clan sort of claim as territory, but so many things across Central Eastern Europe into India. There's an ancient Chamise down in Sri Lanka. All right. So, and that's canon, and just figuring out things to do with that. So I would probably say it took me a few weeks maybe, because I can turn stuff out. If I get the idea and can get going, I can crank stuff out. But
believe me, folks, that is a lot of wordsmithing, because that book is thick. It is thick with material, so that you could just skippity-doo to all that. That's impressive.
Yeah. I have to get in that zone, but when I do, I can churn it out.
What are a couple of the other works that you've done that you're most proud of and that you want to share with folks today?
The two Changeling pieces that I did, I've got one that was Beyond the Hedge. It's for Changeling the Lost, 2nd edition. That's the New World of Darkness setting and rules. I really enjoy that, largely because I like the idea of their powers being contracts, bargaining for power and things, and the idea that it has the most diverse characters possible, because if you can literally dream it up, you can create it. You can find a way to make that character and give him that little the little spark that makes them unique. So coming up with new types of changeling and then powers to go along with it, that's always been something I really enjoyed. And then the other one for that would be Weird Tides, WYRD, written for their Year of the Tides theme a few years ago, and then kind of in collaboration with a good friend of mine here in the DFW area also, who put a piece out for them as well. And we kind of have a little overlap and mention each other's works in there to kind of bring them together. So both of those were really fun. And then, of course, there's all the Halloween pieces, which I got to get busy because it's almost Halloween And I always do some goofy little thing. It's lately been Alice in Wonderland themed stuff, but I like going back and looking at old nursery rhymes, which were never actually really nice when you dissect them. They're
Well,
pretty creepy and gross.
I also picked up off Drive Through RPG your Changeling supplement, Pumpkin Eater, and I learned some stuff in
Pretty
reading
gross.
that short piece you put out. It was gross. It was disturbing, and it was perfect for the World of
Yep.
Darkness.
Yep, it is. It is. So many of those are absolutely perfect for World of Darkness stuff. I mean,
If y'all just want a taste of what David did, he's got a number of things on Drive Through RPG as pay what you want, and check it out. You'll see this guy's got some chops going for him.
thank you.
Yeah, I see you've put out 10 products of your own so far, and it's been for a variety of systems like 7th Sea, and then like you mentioned, Changeling, Vampire, Chronicle. So you've got that diverse bookshelf that you showed me before we got started of gaming products. You like working with it. Now, the Vampire, the Changeling, I get that. Those are your favorite systems, but why 7th Sea? Why Chronicle? Why'd you pick those to work with?
So 7C, of course, I backed the second edition Kickstarter for all their books, and I never was into the first edition. Didn't really even know about it until the Kickstarter for the second. But I really enjoyed the way it played. I liked the descriptions, the pseudo Earth. I'm always very big into Middle Eastern ancient history and things like that. When they released the book dealing with the Crescent Empire, I was like, okay, they have an open game license. I need to write something for this. So I've written 2 parts of a 3-part adventure module, which is actually my first adventure to actually write. And so I've got both of those up there. And I'm in the process of working on the 3rd and final portion. It was just interesting, and it was different enough. I thought, okay, I want to try writing something that's not World of Darkness and see how that goes. And the same thing with Sword Chronicles. So that is Green Ronin Publishing. And when they first opened up their game license for products, I got in on being basically one of their seed creators. So I was one of the first people to put their products up there and have ready to go once they released the license and stuff like that. So they would already have some products, ready to go from day one. So I got in on that.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was actually pretty neat. And I like it. It's kind of a classic fantasy setting, but you can do whatever you want with it. So I've started House of Orphans is kind of a start of something else I'd like to build off of. Again, time and the real job, takes a lot of that. So, but it'll get there. It'll get there. So
I hear you. Yeah, the parts you've got out for your 7th Sea adventure arc so far, those are on my list to check out. Unfortunately, my pile of things to read. Well, you know what? We're here to have a good time. We're not going to talk about that.